I made some fermented hot sauce for this year's holiday season. They make for awesome gifts to give to friends, coworkers, and family. What I like about the recipe is that it's simple and can be made with just a few ingredients. I wanted to create that classic hot sauce look. I decided to go for red Fresno chili peppers and kept the seeds on for the extra kick. The only other ingredients you will need will be salt for the brine, some filtered water, vinegar, and some oil. I decided to toast my garlic a bit in some neutral oil like canola before adding both of them into my final product. You can adjust the basic ratios between peppers and salt to make however much or little you want. You just want to make sure that you're getting between 2 to 3% of your total pepper's weight in salt. So if you're using 300 grams worth of peppers, make sure you're using between 6 to 9 grams of salt. The last thing you need to do is to ensure that the remainder of the jar is filled with water and press down on top with peppers with some kind of weight. I use a ramekin. Let this sit anywhere between 5 to 2 weeks, opening up the jar once every day to release the pressure that's being built up. For sanitary and health reasons, before I start the hot sauce making process, I like making sure I'm sterilizing the vessels I'll be using to store the final product. The simple way I usually go about this is by boiling whatever I'm using for 5 minutes, making sure that the water fills the container to both stabilize and boil the inside of the vessel. Glass can get quite hot, so it's best to use silicone tongs. After however many days you've decided to let the peppers ferment, empty it out on a strainer. I decided to chop some garlic to include in my hot sauce, so I heated them up in some canola oil until they get toasty and fragrant. The timing here is important so you don't end up burning the garlic and leaving the oil with a bad flavor. Set them aside to cool, off the heat, once you're done. Back to the peppers, move them into a food processor and try to use gloves when you can to avoid the spiciness from getting onto your fingers. I measure out my vinegar, some of the leftover brine from the jar, and some of the garlic oil and the garlic itself. Put them all in the food processor and give it a few pulses before eventually letting it loose for a couple minutes. It'll be nice and smooth. For the final step, I use a funnel and I bottle them up like so. I made the choice not to remove the seeds here, but you can choose to if you wish. Hope you enjoyed seeing the process and I encourage you to give it a shot.